Anyway, Alex from RaddTitan. So yeah, I've got a new assistant, so we're getting used to her sign language behind the camera. Just want to warn you also, I'm doing my best sort of Will Ferrell impression from Anchorman. So I'm kind of lower half is just a towel. I was about to jump in the shower and I thought I'd better do this video first. So what I'm going to do is I've got my girlfriend's phone here, so I'm going to scroll through the pictures just to remind myself of what I saw, because there was quite a lot on display. Basically, I've been asked loads of questions and I haven't had Wi-Fi for a little while, so every time I go onto Facebook or Messenger, I'm bombarded with messages of people asking me for my view on certain pieces and which heads or which poses I think are better. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this video because it'd be a lot easier than replying to you all separately, and also because of my time offline, when I do go back on, half of the things I've been tagged in have disappeared off my feed. So first off, I'm going to go on to the there was a booth there called Tossakan, which was a Thai company, Thai studio, and they basically had their own creation, which was called Tossakan. They had 3 different types of that. So they had, one of them was ivy, one of them was painted, and one of them was a metal finish. It was basically a big sort of court scale demon, which must have been, I don't even want to guess, like 40 inches or so tall. It was huge and super impressive. It had 10 arms holding all different weapons, and it had a big base on there where on the base he's kind of standing on some kind of, it looks like a monkey god. It looks like he's standing on top of 2 of those, and then underneath that of the base is probably about 7 inches tall, and it has a door, and you open it up and it has a crab inside there holding like some kind of head that's been sacrificed or something. The design of that I was super impressed with, so I put up their booth tour, so definitely check that out. They also had a life-size bust and some smaller busts from, I think, about 25 years ago. They said they did those, so that is definitely worth a look in the video. I was super impressed with that, from considering it was a company which I have no idea what the actual creature is from. So what I spoke to them say, it was their own design. So we'll go from there. Next one was Tossakan. And next one, scrolling across, there's the bust. Next one, there was a custom spawn, and again that was quarter scale, and he's stepping on the Vindicator's head. And I've seen this quite a lot of times on Facebook. The base of it is so this is by North South Studios, and I think they're also called Golf Studios. They it was an unpainted replica, sorry, unpainted print of that. Super impressive. I didn't really get to speak to them about it much. I spoke to one guy, and his English wasn't that great, so I did speak to him about it, very minimal. So I'm not sure what the license situation is on that one. So check out their site definitely. But the spawn actual figure looked pretty impressive, and it was super huge as well. Then you have, they also had a weird like fat predator sitting on a couch, which was a bit strange. They had like one of those bald cats, which had a gas mask as well. That's a bit weird, but anyway. Then you also had Tsume Studios, which they did the I'm sure you've seen the pictures around. They did the life-size Magneto throne and the life-size Batman Samurai, but they also did a life-size Sideshow, what's it called, Ghost Rider Comiquette, with where he's sitting on the throne. So they had those there. Apparently they asked XM if they could make the Magneto and the Batman, and I don't know, maybe they spoke to Sideshow, but I don't know. But they were life-size versions of the smaller scale statues. Then you had Toylexi. So Toylexi, they had several pieces there. So they had a Monsters line, which was a small scale kind of caricature style of Frankenstein. They had a colour version, and then they kind of did what the what Sideshow did originally with the Universal Monsters, where they had the black and white version. I think I preferred the black and white version of that. The company said that they did very well selling it as a kit originally, and then they decided to sell it afterwards as a painted model. They also had several other pieces there, so they had Michelangelo's David and some other things. Then they had like an Iron Man Hall of Armour, which was quite impressive actually. It was a 1/10 scale model. I did speak to them about it, and the price was quite high on that. So what they're looking into is they're looking into splitting the Hall of Armour off from the actual Iron Man and selling things separately, so it's more affordable. But it was a 1/10 scale licensed Marvel piece, and apparently Marvel Bangkok signed it off straight away. They loved the idea. They also had loads of concepts in the background, so they had a Black Panther, they had a Thanos and Mistress Death, which is going to be about 40 centimeters, and they also had a like a diorama of Thanos with the Black Order, and that looked very, very nice. I'm going to actually probably put a post up, because upon talking to the guy, he said that they were thinking about scrapping that because some other companies have told them that they won't be very popular. So I'm probably going to put an image of that just to see what members on RaddTitan think about that, because I quite liked it. So they've also got a 1/10 scale Hulk and a 1/10 scale Spider-Man as well, which is on the way for approval. And then to continue their monsters line, they had Werewolf, the Frankenstein, the Mummy, and the creature of the Black Lagoon. So they got that, and then they had some sort of Warcraft style thing, which I don't know what that was. Going on to then, we have the Prime 1 booth. So Prime 1 pretty much had a lot of their sort of same pieces they've had before. So they had all the Transformers there. So we'll go through those, skip those, Drift, Night, and then also the booth that had Sideshow were also displaying Infinity Studios. So they had the characters from the King of the Fighters line, which they look quite impressive actually. They look really nice. They were quarter scale mixed media statues, so they look quite good. And they also had a couple of Chinese gods. So I'm just going through. I'm not going to try and run through the whole thing. One of the most impressive pieces from Infinity Studios was the guy on the horse, which is called, I'm just scrolling along, Zhang Fei, and it's a quarter scale sort of Japanese style character on a horse, and that was probably my most impressive piece of theirs. Then you go on to, so they've got the Fantastical Beasts. Okay, here you go. So I had a few people ask me about the Prime 1 Swamp Thing. I was super impressed with the Swamp Thing when I first saw it. It had a huge kind of wow factor to it. It's a massive piece. I've seen the Sideshow one when I went to New York Comic Con, and I quite liked the Sideshow one when I saw it. But again, this one had more wow factor. But then over the last 3 or 4 days of seeing it, it kind of lost that wow factor, and you start to notice that the paint is not that great, and it kind of has a real kind of plasticky look to it, kind of cheap plasticky look to the paint. There's like quite little shading, and there's some very bad seam lines to some of the parts. So I'm hoping that the production paint is a lot better, and I'm hoping that the sort of seam lines do get kind of done a bit better. Yeah, Miller, Batman, you Killer Croc, Doomsday. So Gary was going to get the Doomsday. I think he's cancelled it now because we talked some sense into him about how big it is. Doomsday, if you've got that on order from Prime 1, it's huge. It's absolutely huge, and I mean, you're going to need a lot of space to display that piece. He looked pretty cool. I mean, I think he looked better than the Swamp Thing overall, but it's not really my thing, to be honest with you. It's just too big. Then you've got half scale pieces. These are all the Arkham pieces. So oh yeah, then you got the Berserk line. So this is the first time sort of seeing the Berserk line from them. So the Guts piece, I did really like the paint on the Berserk line. I think it's better than the actual Arkham Batman line. I just do find that the Guts is a little bit too gory and a little bit too busy. There's too much stuff going on the base for that. But overall, I do think it's a super impressive piece. And if you had that in your collection, it's got a lot of wow factor to it. Again, the femto, again the paint on it was very nice. The I think it looks again better than the Arkham Batman line. I think they've well, maybe I just prefer the style of the paint on them, but he's coming out of the bayonet, and again it's another huge piece. So they're all. I mean, if you were to collect the Berserk line, you're going to need a big area to display them, and I haven't even seen the Zod yet, which dwarfs these pieces. I also saw the Berserker armor again. I did really like the character, the guts part of the character, but I don't like the little red demons on the bottom. So there's that. Then on to the XM. So they had the Japanese line. First time seeing the Bane painted up, he looked super impressive. I really like the detail of the paint on that. I think the skin colours were done really well, and I think for their own kind of take on the Batman line, they've done a very good job on that. A bit disappointed they didn't swap out the head on the Ivy, but I've seen them before. Then they've got the aliens. So this is the first time with the alien being shown. There are a few things that I would like to kind of see changed by the alien. There's the I would like the one on the top to be the one with his tongue sticking out, and the one on the bottom to have his tongue kind of in. I think that the one on the top looks more aggressive, so he would be in that position. There are a few people who don't like the way he's stepping on the other alien's head. I like that. I think it's they're animals, and they don't give a fuck. So to me, that's not a problem for me. But overall, I think some of the pose needs to be slightly changed, and again, that tongue sticking out, I think needs to be they need to be swapped round. Just scrolling through these. The Predator bases looks much better. You can see the separation now between the tree and the actual skulls. Again, to scroll through these. Don't remember taking this many pictures. Dr. Octopus looked great. I think again we saw the Dr. Octopus. We saw him unpainted, and I think they've done a great job painting him. I think that, considering he's exactly the same colours pretty much as the Electro, I think they've done a good job in making them still the same colours but slightly different colour, if that makes sense, like different shades. So I do think they've done a good job, and his coat looks really great and looks fantastic, and his base looks great too. But you know, as with all these pieces, you need the real estate to position them. Okay, now we're on to one of the ones which I've been asked probably the most about. So this is the Cyclops. With the Cyclops, you come with the two torsos, so you have him facing forward, shooting the beam, and you have him kind of facing upwards and screaming. I think that the one that was delivered better is the one of him facing forwards. I think the positioning of him screaming upwards, I personally don't think it looks right. I think that the angle of the body is wrong, and it should be more straight up. And also I'm not sure the legs are in a good position for that, but I don't know, overall the paint was great, and I do like the inside of the screaming mouth. I think the detail in there is done really well, but I just think something was slightly off with that. Overall, I do think it's a great piece. As they did say that they are engineering the body to make it straighter, and that this was kind of rushed for the show, so hopefully we'll see that improved on. Then you also have the Amiga Red. I was a bit disappointed again they didn't bring the swap out head with him with the mouth open. I really wanted to see that. That's one from the pictures I really like. Again, with this one though, the position of the body looked off in photos, but in person I think this looked a lot better. The only thing I didn't like about this one was I didn't really like the icicles on the pipes. I think that they could have been done a lot better. But I think the actual figure of the Amiga Red and the face, thumbs up. They are great. Then we scroll through. Oh, then you've got the Mystique. I prefer the long hair on the Mystique. I think she looked great. I don't really like the shorter hair, but I think overall as a character, I think the Mystique probably surprised me the most as one of the ones I liked the most out of the pieces there. Maybe because I wasn't expecting to, but I had no desire to buy her in the past, and now I've seen her, I'm like, you know, she'll look great next to Magneto on Throne. If you put her next to that, she'll be fantastic. And I think that she, for me, was probably the piece that surprised me the most, the quality-wise, but with the long hair. Then you have the Professor X. One of the things on the Professor X is there's been lots and lots of photos, and a lot of people have shown the Professor X, and you can't see that there is actually texturing on the pinstripe suit. With the Professor X, in most of the photos, it looks kind of smooth, like on the Kingpin or the Lizard. And with that, I think, you know, by seeing it in person, you can see that. And I hope on one of my videos, I used my girlfriend's phone, which has a better camera than mine, and I'm hoping you can see those pinstripes on there. The face on it is done really well. It's painted very, very well. If I was to choose, though, personally, out of the modern or classic, I'm going to have to go with the modern, but the only reason I'm going to go with the modern is that's the Professor X I grew up with, the Professor X in the hovering chair. The Professor X in the wheelchair is kind of probably a bit before my time, so I would have to choose the modern version. I also think then going on to Iceman by XM. So Iceman again was done really well, painted very well, but upon speaking to XM, they weren't very happy with the final paint. They said that the one that was on display in the Philippines was painted a lot better, and they felt that the one on display in Thailand didn't really show off the piece very much. Also, they're saying that the pose is going to be slightly changed, so that's why I didn't measure that one. But if they're disappointed with that, I think whoever's ordering this piece is going to be super impressed. I think he looks great. I think they did a fantastic job. You've seen Phoenix before in other videos from other people. I just want to go on that quickly. I mean, the bird of the Phoenix looked amazing. The paint job for the bird is a massive improvement over the Ghost Rider. Also, the head with the flames in there, I think it looked great. I don't know if I like it on the body though, but I think when you hold the heads in your hand and look at it, it was far superior than the others to me. But then when you put it on the body, it kind of it took away from the contrast between the body and the bird, the actual character and the bird. So maybe I need to see that again. Gambit again. So Gambit was displayed with cards which they rushed, so they're actually cardboard. They're going to be made into plastic. The kind of energy part of the cards was done very, very well. The energy trail, the body on the Gambit was done very well. It's another thing with the Gambit, as within the Professor X, where a lot of the photos don't show off the actual texturing on the body. There are loads and loads of textures all over the purple on his body and his jacket. Again, I prefer the modern head on this. Again, it's just kind of what I grew up with, but this one grew on me probably the most over the weekend. Again, when I first saw this one, I wasn't really sold, and then as time went on, this one grew on me the most out of any of them there. So scrolling through. Okay, well, I think I got to see the Sideshow Freddy Krueger, the new one, the Sideshow Loki, and the Hell Priestess from Hellraiser. And I have to say the Hell Priestess from Hellraiser is probably is better than the actual Hellraiser. She is done really, really well, and if you're a horror collector, she is fantastic. I have owned the other Freddys, and I think the media on the new Freddy is much better, but I don't think the face is better. So, it's still a very, very good piece. One of the things I've been asked is to choose my sort of 5 favourite pieces. I'm going to do 3. So my 3 favourite pieces from the XM side. I'm going to probably go with. I'm going to go with Cyclops, Omega Red, and Mystique from the new ones that were shown. They're the 3 I'm going to go for. And then on the Prime 1 side, from all the pieces there, because I haven't seen a lot of them before, I am probably going to go with probably the Berserk line. Surprised me the most, and I think that they were kind of the strongest pieces that Prime 1 had on display, personally. So, as I say, guys, it was just, well, I was going to do a quick video, but it wasn't that quick. So, I hope you enjoyed that, and hope that kind of summarizes up, even though it's probably about 30 minutes long. So, do the usual, guys, you know, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll try and respond to them. So, take care, guys. Peace.